Michigan got caught cheating. They got caught stealing signs of their opponents. And Michigan fans are in denial about this. They make it seem like this isn't a big deal because everybody else is doing it. Yeah, you aren't the only team that's stealing signs. A good amount of other teams do it as well. But the problem is that you were stealing opposing team signs using illegal technology. Pretty much they were recording the teams using their signs and they were bringing it back to Ann Arbor and they were using it to their advantage. And I'm not saying that this is the reason why Michigan football has kind of went on their recent run as late, being able to beat Ohio State 2 times back to back, being able to win the Big Ten Conference in back-to-back years, and appearing in the college football playoffs for the last 2 years also. I think that for Michigan, this is a really big issue for you. All right. Yeah, just because you still signs, the other team still has to be able to make adjustments. TCU said that they kind of had a feeling that Michigan stole their signs, which is why they had to switch things up, but they had a whole month to prepare. You wonder why Ohio State couldn't do the same thing, and that's understandable. And you're not the only team doing this. Let's make that clear, but it's the fact about how you went getting these signs, which makes this a pressing issue. And that's why you right now are facing a lot of troubles from the NCAA. You see, Michigan fans keep making it seem like this isn't a big deal and the media is just making this out to be a bigger issue than what it is. No, it is a big deal. They just got the FBI involved in this thing, and the NCAA has just appeared on Michigan's campus and they're doing their investigation on the matter. The Big Ten also has launched their own private investigation. And there are Big Ten teams who came to the NCAA giving tons of video evidence about Michigan stealing these signs. So just because everybody else is doing it doesn't mean that you should be excused of doing it, because the way that you're going about doing it is illegal. The problem in this whole situation that not enough people are talking about is that it's not the fact that Michigan was stealing signs, it's the fact that they were recording the thing. So apparently, Connor Stallions, a member of Michigan's staff, had bought tickets for over 30 to 35 games that included Big Ten opponents and potential teams that Michigan could be going up against in the college football playoffs, and he was using the cellular devices to record this. And that's why he right now suspended with pay. And that's why Michigan is currently under investigation for this whole entire scandal. And for me, I don't really have an issue with the whole sign stealing thing. My issue is that you got caught doing it. And now the fact that people want to make it seem like the NCAA is out to get Michigan, I'm not buying that shit. Okay, you got caught cheating. There's nothing wrong with trying to cheat. You know what they say? If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But it's the fact that, you kind of went a little bit overboard with it. It goes back to the whole Spygate thing with Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots decades ago. Everybody was doing the same thing the Patriots were doing. It's just that they took it to the extreme. And Michigan went to the extreme with this thing. Yeah, you can go and try to steal other team signs and try to get a little bit of an advantage, but you can't record it. And that's the problem that Michigan has right now. It's the fact that they went a little bit to the extreme of this thing, and now the coaches were upset with it, and the NCAA, they got tipped off because it's not like the NCAA knew about this thing prior. There were coaches who have been feeding the NCAA evidence about what Michigan has been doing. And for Jim Harbaugh, he comes out, and of course he's going to deny him having any knowledge of this, but I just think that's a load of bullshit. You're the head coach. There's no way you don't have any knowledge of what was transpiring. You're the head coach of a big football program that gets a ton of attention. All right. So anytime you have guys like Connor Stallions on your staff doing these kinds of operations, you have a little bit of knowledge about what's going on. Now, did you know that they were going this overboard with it? Probably not. But let's stop making it seem like Jim Harbaugh didn't know anything. You're the head coach of a football team. You should know everything that's going on within your operation. And this is kind of a little bit of me being a little bit naive for me to even say that Jim Harbaugh, maybe there was a little bit more to this that he didn't know about. But at the same time, I do think that he knew a little bit about what was going on. He's not innocent in the matter. Like, he released a statement on social media saying that they were going to corroborate. He didn't really have any knowledge of this. Like, this isn't the first time, Jim Harbaugh has gotten into trouble with the NCAA. The last time he got in trouble with the NCAA was due to him buying a recruit a hamburger, which people call Burgergate. And I felt like that was pretty unnecessary for the NCAA to kind of have to force him to self-impose a 3-4 game suspension due to him just buying a recruit a hamburger. But when it comes to this situation, Jim Harbaugh definitely was in the wrong in this situation. Like, he knew what was going on. When you're the head coach of a football program, you know everything that's going on with your program. And if you don't, that kind of shows you being a little bit incompetent of running a program, because you can't run a program and not know what the guys you hired are doing. You hired these guys for a reason. And even on Connor Stallion's LinkedIn profile, it just looks a little bit shady. Like, I'm really annoyed with Michigan fans trying to make it seem like this is being overblown. It's not being overblown. They got the FBI involved. You got the NCAA people on campus. Like, this is definitely a pressing issue. TCU came out and said that they knew about this. Big Ten schools said that they kind of had a suspicion about this going on, and they've been the people who've been giving you up. Now, it doesn't matter who snitched on you. It might have been Ohio State. It might have been Indiana, Rutgers. Who cares? Anytime you are a dominant program and you're dominating the conference, teams are going to be upset. Not just with you just dominating, but if you are doing this, having a little bit of a slight advantage with the way that you're going about it, teams are going to be quick to rat you out. So I don't get this whole narrative that Michigan fans keep trying to pitch about how this is just being sensationalized by the media and they're just doing this for clicks. Like, if that's the case, why is the FBI now involved in this? You get what I'm saying? Like, Michigan has not been involved in too many controversies in the past prior to this year. Maybe the NCAA does have it out for Jim Harbaugh because he kind of made them look a little bit foolish, but it doesn't really matter because you got caught doing something that you had no business doing. You may not have been the only school stealing signs, but you were one of the only schools going about this in the way that you did, using technology to do so, which is forbidden. It's illegal. And I think that the punishment is going to be pretty severe when it comes to how this is all going to transpire. Like, we all know that the NCAA, they're really inconsistent with how they respond and react to scandals and investigations. Sometimes they can give teams a slap on the wrist. Like, Tennessee was paying players, giving them money in McDonald's bags, and they got a slap on the wrist. They didn't get any postseason bans. You look at the situation with Baylor, though, with Art Briles, like nearly a decade ago, they got hit pretty hard, in my opinion. Just because the NCAA has gone a little bit soft over the last couple of years on their punishment doesn't mean that you're going to get the same luxury. And you got to remember that Jim Harbaugh already kind of has been a target of the NCAA. So now they finally got a reason to really bring the hammer down on you. And even if Jim Harbaugh leaves and he departs for the NFL, you're still going to have to serve whatever punishment you get, even with the new head coach. Yeah, it's a little bit messed up that Jim Harbaugh will leave and, not take the punishment along with you because he's also guilty in this situation. But for Michigan, I don't think you're just going to get a slight tap on the wrist. Like, they have way too many people involved in this. Anytime you get the feds involved, this becomes a very serious matter. And then there are other Big Ten schools who are upset, who've been ratting you out. So I don't think they're going to be okay with you just getting a slap on the wrist. Now, There's some rumors that say that maybe the college football playoff committee could take things into their own hands. I don't really think that's going to happen. Like, I don't really think that's the committee's territory. Hell, they can barely get the teams right when it comes to the rankings when they get released. So I definitely don't trust them to be able to handle this situation in the best way. I think for Michigan, the best case scenario for you is maybe you don't get a postseason ban. Maybe you got to pay some fines. Maybe if Jim Harbaugh comes back, he gets suspended for maybe half the season. But I definitely think that the NCAA is going to come down pretty hard on you. I mean, this dude, Connor Stallions, was buying tickets to watch Tennessee play, because maybe Michigan possibly could have been matched up against Tennessee. So he gets a couple of guys to go to the Tennessee games and record their signs, and maybe if they would have went up against them, they would have used that information. But they definitely tried to use it against TCU, and TCU switched it up on them. I don't think this is one of those situations that the NCAA is just coming down on Michigan just because they're hating on Michigan for Jim Harbaugh making them look foolish. Like, Big Ten teams tipped off the NCAA. If you go and you read the articles and you read the reports, this investigation kind of got started because there were Big Ten schools that got a little bit of whiff that Michigan had some staff members in attendance recording with their cell phones their signs and using it against them. And even though, even if you know what's coming, you still have to be able to stop it, like what Coach Prime said. At the end of the day, it's still an advantage. Rather, if it was advantageous to you or proved to be a disadvantage, you still got caught cheating. And when you get caught cheating, when you do the crime, you got to do the time. And Michigan fans, like, you guys are some really good fans, and this isn't an indictment against you. I mean, you didn't do anything wrong in the situation. You didn't get caught cheating. The team that you root for did, and therefore they should be getting some pretty costly penalties for this. It's not the fact that you're not the only team doing it. It's the fact that you went overboard with it. And anytime you go overboard with something and you get a slight advantage over somebody and you're also very dominant, people are going to come for you. You're going to have a target on your back. There was already a target on Michigan's back for them being back-to-back Big Ten champions. And now you go out and you get caught stealing signs, and there is video evidence. Like, people keep saying, where's the evidence at? This investigation got started because Big Ten teams were sending the NCAA evidence of what you were doing. So what you mean, where's the evidence at? You making it seem like the NCAA is just doing this just because they have it out for you. Like, I don't think the NCAA has any reasons to try to have a grievance against Michigan. I don't really think it's that deep. I think that the NCAA, they're doing their job. And even though they pick and choose when they want to do their job, when you got a lot of teams giving you information and a lot of teams writing you out, of course they got to step in. And even the Big Ten Conference has their own internal investigation going on into the matter. So with so many parties involved, you got the FBI involved, the NCAA involved, your own conference doing their own investigation. I don't think you're just going to get a simple slap on the wrist anymore. I definitely think that there are going to be some hefty prices to pay for this. And I definitely think that, without a doubt, Jim Harbaugh is going to be on his way out after this situation. And I don't blame him. Like, he probably doesn't want to keep continuing to deal with this. And if you're going to have some sanctions imposed on you, maybe you get a reduction in scholarships, maybe you get a postseason ban. Like, why would he stay when he's already been flirting with the NFL? And that goes into my next point.